welcome to everybody. And thank you so much for coming to this Ice Out of Berks, Ice Out of Upper Bern, I get that confused all the time, Town Hall. Now, our group, Ice Out of Upper Bern, is dedicated to the peaceful, the local, and the nonpartisan opposition to basically the ice facility that they want to put in out on Mountain Road. And yes, our group truly is nonpartisan. In our group, which is small but mighty, we have Republicans, we have Democrats, we have Libertarians, and we have independents. I'm going to do a little aside right now. I'm a numbers kind of person. And so I was moved yesterday to go on my computer and look up some things regarding ICE facilities. And I didn't make printouts for everyone, but you will find on the tables some of these sheets. On the top it says financial considerations. I'm certainly not going to go over it with you, but this is information that tells you how much operating this ICE facility will cost our tax dollars. So we ask that you make yourselves comfortable. If you need a snack, we have some things to drink and some potato chips back there in the corner. And who am I? I'm nobody special. I'm an old lady from Hamburg. The only thing that you really need to know about me is that I am passionately opposed to any government decree that makes life more problematic, more expensive, more disruptive, or more divisive for our communities and our citizens. Our purpose today is to bring people together so we can all learn more about this imminent threat that presents itself to us. Now, why do we have to do this? Well, in part, it's because the officials aren't doing anything. A bunch of us went to the February 11th County Commissioner meeting at the Upper Tulpehocken Library, and we got absolutely zero, zilch, nothing information. All they kept saying is it's not our bailiwick, we don't know, we didn't even know about it. In fact, we found out at that meeting, we knew it was happening before they did. And then we went to the Upper Bern Board of Supervisors meeting, and Representative Jamie Barton was there, and he pretty much said the same thing. You know, he didn't know anything. They had no facts to offer. Neither has any elected official felt it important enough to go to the effort to organize a get-together like this, where people can come together, learn some facts, and maybe get a perspective on how collectively we can move forward together. So our group of neighbors organized and paid for this town hall today out of our own pockets to bring actual facts about this threat that is readily affecting our community. And I know this is a time when, you know, we all know money's tight. We all go to the gas pumps, we all go to the grocery stores, we all do all kinds of things that, you know, make us figure out how can we spend our money. So we're not asking for a lot, but if you feel it in your heart that you would like to help us out a little bit financially, there are some donation jars where you could slip a couple bucks in, and if you would consider doing that, we would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so anyway, let's get started because we have a rather full agenda. Our first speaker is Linda Alsbach-Heckman. She's a retired teacher and spokesperson for Ice Out of Upper Bern. She's a multi-generational Upper Berks, Shartlesville resident whose father served as the town supervisor for over 40 years. Her son and grandchild live right here in Shartlesville. Linda is here to give us an overview of the impact of the warehouse conversion to an ICE detention center. So please join me in welcoming Linda.
Good afternoon. Sue Lively gave a great introduction, and again, I just want to say thank you. Actually, as I look out and I see some of my friends and neighbors, people that are a part of our community. As Sue said, this has been my community my entire life, just about. I did leave the community for short periods of time. My father was a township supervisor. My mother's family was raised in this vicinity as well. This is our community. This is my family's and your family's infrastructure that is going to be affected. We're, like Sue said, a nonpartisan. We have anybody from all political parties are interested because this affects them. This affects every one of us. And we are called Ice Out of Upper Bern. Please share this organization with your friends, family, and neighbors. And that leads me to my next point. This village of Shartlesville is a very small community. We know our neighbors. When I was growing up and my sister and I delivered the newspaper, we knew every single person on our route. Yeah, my sister and I. Reading Eagle wanted my brother, but he was busy with scouts, so he was on the record, but my sister and I delivered the newspapers, both the Eagle and the Times. This is a village. We're in Upper Bern Township and the Hamburg School District and Berks County. I encourage every one of you to talk to your neighbors, to our neighbors. Why do I say that? I've talked to people that have voiced support of the detention center. And when I ask them, why do they support it? And then I give them sites for accurate information and have them also research. They come back to me and said, this is not what I voted for. I have heard that more than 100 times in the last 3 months. This is not what they voted for. That's why I encourage everybody, everyone, talk to your friends and neighbors, because the tax infrastructure will affect them as well. The water, sewer will affect everyone, even beyond our village and township, because we are in the Delaware watershed. So this will affect surrounding counties besides Berks County as well. It will affect, we have a very dedicated volunteer fire company. There are some in the fire company that know the problems with the existing warehouse when it was approved as a warehouse. And those, the solicitor cannot go and onto the property and even correct those deficits, let alone ICE deficits that are occurring. We have no local EMS. We rely on Hamburg and Strausstown. And again, this is a very rural community, so they do not have the resources of Reading and things like that. The hospitals in the area are Reading and St. Luke's in Origsburg. We do not have that local infrastructure in place. Our roads, as we know, PennDOT now has the main street of Shartlesville, but Mountain Road, a large part of it, is Upper Bern Township maintenance. So that again, the township is struggling. They do not have money in the infrastructure right now to do repairs on existing projects, let alone what's going to cause by added truck traffic. If you live in the community, you know the warehouse traffic problems. And it's going to be accelerated with the amount of ICE detention traffic. State police. I'm very glad to know that we have security. Every function that I attend as a peaceful protest rally, I made sure that the state police were included. Because at the last protest that I was at, organized by outside community, very well intentioned, we encountered a brown lion from Philadelphia, and they started to do a chant of bring your weapons and your signs and pack the sidewalks of this town, to which I literally ran the length of this hall and shouted in a megaphone, absolutely not. The ICE detention is not here in our village. We do not want Shartlesville to become a Minneapolis. We have resources that we can use, such as this peaceful organization, such as making our friends and our family members, neighbors aware of what is at stake, and ask them if they do support it, why, help them to find out the accurate information of how it's going to affect our infrastructure. So again, I encourage everyone to support the township supervisors and our elected officials. As Sue said, we knew information before the elected officials because we were in the community. We saw ICE at the warehouse before the sale went through. They were there. We were there. It went through, township did not know about it till afterwards. The elected officials are trying, but they're not getting the answers. There are 2 letters that occurred since I last spoke. March 5th was a letter from our elected officials copied to the township supervisors. And I'm sorry, I'm going to throw them out under the bus because at the last township meeting, Jamie Barton did not have as much information when he presented as I did. And he questioned the November 26th proposed occupancy date. It's item number I in the March 5th letter. The township supervisors confirmed that they got that letter, and that is the proposed ICE occupancy date, November of this year. There is a lot of infrastructure questions that should be answered by our government, because again, this is a nonpartisan issue. This affects everybody. So again, when DHS is not giving us the answers, or you have somebody that's going to say, that they said to me, well, this will bring construction work to our local community. No, I had them research the government contract policy. I'm sorry, I support Klein Brothers in Strausstown, but they will not get a contract for this ICE warehouse. So again, this will not be affecting our community for work within our community, but it will affect us in the tax. It will affect us in the infrastructure. As I said, multiple areas of infrastructure. So again, support by the government leaders. The township are our elected leaders. They are our friends and neighbors. They want answers that they do not have to give us. Do not just come for the question and answer part of the meetings at the township. Stay for the meeting. I got much more information after Jamie Barton and the question and answers left, when that was done, from the township supervisors, the zoning officer, the solicitor, information that they gave at the meeting that was not provided to the question and answer. So again, they have done a donation to the fire company in order to use this facility for some meetings. I encourage we pack the houses of whatever location. Let them know ahead of time. I apologize to Beth because it goes into an answer machine. She's a secretary. But let them know that this is a concern. They need to know that we as a community are concerned about our community. And we do not want this to become a Minneapolis. We do not want to see protests up and down the sidewalk where my granddaughter rides her bike, where I walk for exercise, where we as a community bind together as a Pennsylvania Dutch community. We do not want that in our community. We oppose it. Join us in the opposition to it. Talk to your friends and neighbors. Find out why, if they are in support, and help them to understand what is really at stake. Because this is a nonpartisan, affects us all. Thank you very much.
Nothing like hearing it from somebody who grew up directly here. Now, getting back to my old age problems, one of the things that I forgot to mention earlier, and I told you about, we didn't get information from the county commissioners or Representative Jamie Barton. So about 12 days ago, I contacted the offices of Senators McCormick, Fetterman, and Representative Muser, and I asked them to consider coming and sharing some information that they might have with us today. Does anybody see him here? No.
He's in the bathroom.
Oh, he's in the bathroom. He got lost. He's trying to work his way up to the stage.
Came from there, you should know that.
What?
Just came from there, you should know that.
Yeah. And, you know, it's just so disappointing because not only aren't they here, they didn't even have the courtesy to respond. You know, that frosts my butt, to be honest with you. That's not a very professional thing to say. So anyway, moving on. Next up, we have a gentleman named James Stilp. He is a community activist who specializes in giving support to communities that are unexpectedly thrust into the forefront of unwanted positions. A former legal legislative analyst for the PA House of Representatives, he currently serves as the executive director of No TMI Restart in Dauphin County. He's here to help us understand the DEP process and DEP Act 537, which relates to sewage facilities. So please join me in welcoming Gene Still.
Hi, folks. Good afternoon. I'm going to take 1 minute. A lot of you people, I passed this thing called the Certified Mail DEP Order. Who does not have one of these? Raise your hand, okay? My friend over here is going to pass those out, and then we'll get started, okay? I just brought some show and tell with us today because this is what it's all about for my section. My section deals with what we're human beings. Anyhow, my name is Gene Stilp. I am a CPA, a Central Pennsylvania activist. I am not from here. I am from Route 443 west of here. If you ever driven up the Susquehanna River and seen a replica of the Statue of Liberty, that is my handiwork. That's my statue. I said that I am not from here, but when it involves the actions of ICE and you live anywhere in central Pennsylvania, we are all from here. I've been asked to talk about water and sewage issues surrounding this ICE project. I have background in such matters, and today, so will you. It is easy. All it takes is common sense. We are going to get a bit specific today because it's about being human. Raise your hand if you're a human, please. Raise your hand if you're human. Ladies, are you human over there? Okay, you're human. Okay, over here? All right, good. All right. Say hello to the human beside you, please. Say hello to the humans beside you. Okay. Years ago, in the middle of the 20th century, it was noticed that humans were continuing to mess up the land and waterways with everyday production. Laws were established to begin to preserve the land and waterways. Back when Conrad Weiser, your neighbor, was around, all it took was a corn cob to take care of things. Now, hundreds of years later, we're a bit more conscientious. You are doing a good job. Wolf Creek is looking good. We don't want that messed up, do we? No. I'm sorry, my fingers are not working here. But out of nowhere, ICE decided to put in what is equal to whole new townships, both here and up the road in Tremont Township. So let's get you up to date. You hold in your hands the Pennsylvania Department of Mineral Resources, the March 5th order. Everybody has that, right? The March 5th order, right? Now this is going to get very difficult. Get your pens out. Get your pens and pencils out, all right? Because I don't let anybody go home without being better educated, all right? All right. Reese, that means you. Okay. On March 5th, the order came from the Department of Homeland Security, You hold in your hand Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Resources and the March 5th order to the Department of Homeland Security, the DHS, a legal document with teeth. Please share if there's not enough to go around. It's hard getting information out of DHS, so this week we may actually get to see some what they are thinking. Please turn directly to page 15 of the order. Page 15. You get one of these? You got one? Page 15. All right. This is more work that you've done since you've been in high school, so that's the way it is. All right. Page 15, number 3, at the bottom it says DHS has 20 days to respond to this part of the order on drinking water. What will they, if so, will they say anything? Turn to page 16, number 6 on sewage. DHS has 20 days to respond to that part of the order. If so, what will they say? The above is interesting because the 20-day period ends on this Wednesday, March 25th, a few days hence. What will happen? Nobody knows. Will they try and say that the federal government doesn't have to do any of this and to respond to the state? If so, there'll be a big battle brewing. But here we go. One of the questions is if DHS and ICE will object to the order and oppose Pennsylvania's jurisdiction over water and sewage, all right? That may happen. You never can tell with DHS and ICE. To answer that question and to further your education, turn to page 1C, where Pennsylvania asserts jurisdiction, all right? If you have a pen, mark that down. Okay, there will be a test. There will be a test, young man. Okay. Okay. And then page 2 at G and H, all right? We're going faster, but you can read this at home. Then the document branches out into water and sewage histories for the site. Starting on page 3, item L, M, and N, we get the water history of that site up there. On page 4 at R and S, we see that what DEP eventually observed at the site. It says that the developer never sought or received approval for the original project, not the current one. But this goes back into the history of the site, okay? No approval. At page 5, we see the exact specifics that DEP is using. Page 6, Z, AABB tells us about the old system cannot handle what is required for 1,500 prisoners. Water language continues on page 9 at VV and XX. We're moving fast here. DHS needs an amended construction permit and an amended operating permit. This could take a very, very, very long time. Page 10, item FFF says nothing has been applied for that we know of. Page 11, GGG, HHS, and JJJ basically states that they cannot do anything that is not authorized, and to do so requires the aforementioned permits. So basically, you got them right where you want them right now, all right? You do. Okay, now we're going to turn to sewage. Now go back. The history of the sewage site is at page 6 and 7, ending with paragraph MM on page 7. MM. I know you're all excited, but don't forget now, there will be a test in 15 minutes. I mean 5 minutes. Which states the flow likely for the sewage production of 1,500 prisoners. At this point, I would like to say that there's nowhere in this document that you have in front of you that is there anything accounting for 300 or so staff that would be needed. I do not have the exact number, but they are not included. They have to hold things until they get home, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Sewage concerns continue on page 11 at LL. The key here is on page 12 at OOO and PPP. I guess it's appropriately, it should be PPP, okay? At page 12 at SSS deals with sewage holding tanks and department approval. Page 14 is crucial. XXX, YYY, AAA, BBB are crucial. DHS and ICE cannot do anything until permits, approvals, inspections, and a great deal of time passes. DHS and ICE can't do anything until permits, approvals, inspections, and a great deal of time passes. There are a lot of objections to be raised during the entire process, which will require resubmission. It ends on page 15 at DDDD with the last warning that they could be in non-compliance would bring the fort down on top of them. Now close your documents and the test will begin. Okay. Hey, here on stage is a commode, right? You see that commode? Hard to miss, hard to miss. And someplace around here there's a roll of tickets, okay? A pack of 36 tickets is right here, all right? Anybody? Oh, boy. Everybody has gone to Walmart down the road to get one of these. Is that true? Raise your hands if you got one of these at Walmart. We'll have one delivered, okay. Now, For a prison about this size, okay, about 20 to 25 packets a day would be used. That's 7,000 packets a year. That's about 170,000 rolls of tickets a year, not counting staff, of course. So there you have it. Your governor took a firm stand against this prison. The DEP laid out the exact circumstances for this specific site as they're required to by law. The DEP will do their job, but it's up to you, that's you, to watch every move that is made by DHS, ICE, and yes, even DEP. Look at today, they missed the 300 staffers, okay? You do this by filing freedom of information requests, state, county, and township right-to-know requests, and also demanding full explanations from your federal, state, and township representatives in writing. No one has done anything in writing to anybody here except Shapiro. Governor Shapiro has done stuff in writing, but federal senators, representatives, etc., local guys, nothing in writing. So anyhow, I'm sure you have a lot more questions, and I have a lot more to say, but right now I have to use the restroom. Thank you very much. This toilet is for sale, by the way. If anybody needs a new toilet, all the pieces are here, never been used.
Commissioner Santoni, do you need the toilet before he takes it away? All right, thank you so much, Gene. I wish I was smart like him. That man is smart as a whip. So next on our agenda is Berks County Commissioner Dante Santoni Jr. He is a Berks County native who has been committed to serving the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania since his first position at the township level in Muhlenberg as financial director. Somebody, ugh. Okay. In 1992, he was elected to the office of PA State Representative for the 126th Legislative District, a position to which he was reelected for 20 years. When he retired from the state in 2012, he worked as a lobbyist and served on the PA Gaming Commission before being elected county commissioner. His commitment to the safety and welfare of everyone in Berks County is the reason he's here with us, standing against policies that are distressing and dangerous. And again, I want to say, of all 3 county commissioners that we met with back on February 11th out at the Tulpehocken Library, he's the only one who promised to stand with us.
Thank you, thank you. First of all, I have to apologize. I don't have any props. Sorry about that. Where's Gene? Gene and I go way back. I'm from our legislative days. I remember you very well. What I thought I'd do in my time that I'm going to be speaking, I don't want to take up a whole lot of time. There's some additional speakers, and I know there's some questions. Just tell you a little bit about what's happening at the county level and what we can and can't do moving forward. As was stated, we had a town hall meeting at the Upper Tulpehocken Library back in February, and we had just heard about the facility being proposed right before that. Should we have known beforehand? Of course, but we didn't know until Fred Sheeler, our recorder of deeds, sent us a copy of the transfer of the deed, and that's when we found out that this facility was coming. And here, and then, of course, just north of here in Schuylkill County, another proposed facility. You know the issues that are out there. The concern about the loss of revenue, you see it on the board, tax revenue to the county, to the local community, and to the school district are significant. That's a problem. The public health and safety, you heard Gene talk about what the state is doing, and that's an issue. But I think the most important issue to me is the inhumane treatment of potential people coming to our facility. So no matter... I'll talk a little bit about some of the calls we have with DHS. The call, I was only in on one, I didn't get invited to the second one. But they said that money is no object. That was what they said. Money is no object. I don't know if I believe that, first of all, and them saying that, I just think they were trying to appease us as we were on our phone call. So even if money was no object, which we were told it doesn't matter how much money they give us, you can't provide the water and sewer that's necessary for this facility, no matter what. They will literally run out of water. You won't be able to flush your toilets or use your showers, we're being told. That's the most important thing. So I just want to state for the record, and I've said it at our town hall meeting, no matter what they tell me, no matter what they provide, and I know they've responded in some manner to some of the requests that have been going out there, I just cannot support and will not support the facility coming in here. I'll do everything I can to stop it. The call that we had with the Department of Homeland Security was probably the worst phone call I've ever been on in my life. They were terribly unprepared. We were asking them simple questions and they couldn't answer anything. Now, since then, they've gotten back to us on some things, but really, they're just not being transparent on this whole issue, and that's a concern for us at the county level. I think the whole board, I'm opposed to it no matter what, but the whole board is at least asking for more information, and we want everything in writing. We're not taking anybody's word for it. So we're in the process of setting up a Berks County only call. There was a call last week that I was not invited to. I wasn't on it, but the other commissioners were, and the Schuylkill County people were on it. I was told it was 70% related to the Schuylkill County facility, not ours. So we're demanding a Berks County only call with DHS. Hasn't been set up yet, but when it is, we'll certainly let you know. Subsequent to that call with DHS, the terrible one I talked about, we had Governor Shapiro in Berks County meeting with us at the Berks County Ag Center. All elected officials from Berks and Schuylkill were there. Our staffs were there. There were cabinet secretaries there. And Governor Shapiro assured us that he will do everything he can to help us stop this facility. You heard what DEP is doing. There's a serious concern with the health, safety, and welfare of this community. And Governor Shapiro is going to do everything in his power to stop it. And I stand strongly with Governor Shapiro. What can we do? Certainly we can continue to contact our federal legislators, contact every level. I know it's frustrating when you hear us say we can't really do anything about it, but the law in Pennsylvania at the county level is we don't have the authority to create planning and zoning. That's up to the local communities. Some states it's allowed, most states it's allowed. Maybe we should do that in Pennsylvania, but that would require an act of the legislature. So if that happens, counties can have more of a say in planning and zoning of things like this that happen in the community. But you still should let us know. We want to hear from you. Contact your federal legislators. My opinion on is people want to fix our immigration status. There was legislation that was passed, that was going to be passed a few years ago when Joe Biden was still the president. And it was a bipartisan bill co-sponsored by a Republican senator from Oklahoma named Jim Lankford and a Democratic senator from Connecticut named Chris Murphy. And I met not that long ago with former Senator Bob Casey, and he told me there were 70 votes in the Senate for that bill. It was a bipartisan compromise piece of legislation that would have provided security at the border, that would have provided path for citizenship, and would have dealt with a lot of the issues that we're hearing about now. We don't need these facilities. We don't need ICE agents coming into our communities. We need federal legislators to pass that immigration bill. It was poised for passage, and it wasn't President Trump yet, candidate Trump put a kibosh to it because it would have been a win for Joe Biden, and President Biden at the time was still on the ballot as a Democratic nominee. So that's why that bill passed, and a lot of this is because of that bill. President Trump put a kibosh to a bipartisan compromise immigration policy that would have done would have solved a lot of the problems that we have right now. So let's make that point as well. What else can we do? We need to keep protesting. We need to keep our voices, scream loud and clear, standing up for what you believe in. Most importantly, I'm going to leave you with one more thing. We need to get to the polls. Voting matters. You need to organize. You need to get people to the polls. You need to make the changes. That's what's going to happen. Voting matters. It really, really does. The people in office that stand with you, that support your issues, are the people that you need to vote in. So I have to read a little passage. I'm going to end my remarks with this because I think it's outstanding and it says a lot of what we can do. If I can pull it up on my phone. It's a statement by former President Barack Obama at the Jesse Jackson Memorial. Here's what he said. I think I can steal it from him. It's terrific. We are living in a time when it can be hard to hope. Each day we wake up to some new assault on our democratic institutions, another setback to the idea of the rule of law, an offense to common decency. Every day you wake up to things you just didn't think were possible. Everywhere we see greed and bigotry being celebrated, and bullying and mockery masquerading as strength. We see science and expertise denigrated, while ignorance and dishonesty and cruelty and corruption are reaping untold rewards every single day. And it's hard to hope in those moments. So it may be tempting to get discouraged, to give in to cynicism. It may be tempting for some to compromise with power and grab what you can, or even for good people to even just put your head down and wait for the storm to pass. But we must be messengers of hope. Wherever we have a chance to make an impact, whether it's in our school, in our workplace, or our cities, not for fame, not for glory, or because success is guaranteed, but because it gives our life purpose, because it aligns with what our faith tells us God demands, and because if we don't step up, no one else will. Continue to step up. I'm with you. Fight on. Thank you.
Being someone with a phys ed degree, I like people who, want to try to keep in shape. And our next speaker is someone who's running. Her name is Tina Burns. She's an industrial psychologist, a healthcare compliance officer, and a veteran of the United States Coast Guard, where she swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, an oath she lives by today. She's running to be the next PA state representative for the 124th District to represent and improve the lives of our people instead of corporate interest. Dedicated to fighting these negatively impactful facilities, she's with us today to help push back against them and others like it, and she's here to tell us why. Please help me welcome Tina Burns.
It's a pleasure being here, and honestly, I showed up today. The reason I showed up is because everyone in this room deserves support, including myself. One thing that always amazes me is we look at our government as, oh, we work for them. Let's get this straight. They work for us. And if they're not doing the job for us, what would happen? In your own jobs, if you weren't doing your job, what would happen? Most likely, yes, unless you work for your spouse. But so moving on, I'm a roamer, so I apologize if I wander away. But our tax dollars, those are our tax dollars. So first we spend our tax dollars, $87.4 million on a building of our money. Then we not only bought that without our say, we've also bought it at a higher rate than it was just sold in 2024. Makes you wonder, wow, like 30 million, right? Is my math right? $30 million in profit since 2024? I wish my 401 would grow that largely. Next, we have our estimated taxes. This county alone is losing out $20K. Who's going to cough up that money? Where is that money coming from? So it's certainly about the money and the huge loss to the area, but it goes much farther than that because there's word on the street, well, they're going to give us money back. Okay, let's call Florida. Hey, Florida, how is that money situation going? BS. We cannot trust from the past what they're saying is true. It's just like, where's the proof? So beyond the tax money we're losing, what's it going to impact on our community? Now, several have mentioned in more detail, but our infrastructure currently as it is, how many of you enjoy when there's an accident on 78 and they reroute on Old 22? And raise a hand, who enjoys that traffic? Yeah, and Amazon, I heard several comments, just Amazon alone brought a mess of traffic. So what about water and sewer? Those were mentioned as well, water, sewer, EMS, 911, or 911, fire, police, all of these things that they didn't take into consideration, not to mention the population. Right now, you can't quite see. I drew stick people, well, I didn't draw them, but these are stick people, if you could say. Current total is 1633. If this facility comes here, it will grow to 3633. What are we gonna do? You know, where is that going to put us with sewer, water, things of that nature? Now, I got a little, if you don't find some humor in life, you may as well just give up, and especially in this situation. So, garbage. Just take garbage. You know, each of us average about 90 trash bags of garbage a year. Okay, times that by 2,000. And guess what else that's going to bring? Trucks, traffic, yeah, yay, we all love that. Sewer, what's the resolution? Well, if you look in the history, the federal government suggests and hints at the porta potty option, but they also have used it as a method in past episodes. What does that mean for this area? Well, I did a calculation now, and again, these are averages based on what's out there as far as information. The government says for construction, 10 to 20 porta potties per person. For events, it's like 30 to 50. So I used the number 28, which is right there sort of in the middle. And what I came up with was they will need, and this is only the potty part, this isn't the rest of it, 72 porta potties. Well, 72 times all those people, the average, the average of people's waste is about 100 gallons a day. So at that rate, and the pumpage rate, I won't get to it, guys. So I went down a rabbit hole on this. But honestly, it's going to be 14 truck passes a week and a lot of poo. Like, what else comes with that? You know, I'm going to let you guys guess. What comes with poo? Stink. Exactly, smell. So for the campers, the campground right next to it, they're going to, oh yeah, let's go to the, poop park. Like who? So not in our area. Like, they're more than doubling the population, and I'm probably going to get. I could go on forever, but I'm going to cut it off and move on to what can you do. And this is the saying, you're going to hear this over and over again, but what can you do? We can learn from our past. In Berks County, we have a past with a facility. A 96-bed facility. We had it for over 8 years. It was implemented from Barack Obama days. There were troubles. There was an action coalition group that finally, after 8 years, got them shut down. Why? Because there was so much trouble with that facility, and it was only 96 beds. Can you imagine that if you're looking at 1,500 beds? They ended up in lawsuits, and who paid those lawsuits? The county, of course, had to suck up those lawsuits. Mega warehouses. Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. Anybody love having Amazon in your backyard? No. Exactly. So, same things, just a little twist of difference between Amazon and this facility from a logistics standpoint, but also show up and talk to others. You guys coming out today is great, But what I'm asking of all of you is now go out and talk to your neighbors and say, hey, listen, this is real. This is not a done deal yet. So we need to stop it before it starts. I've already heard, contact your officials. Can't do it enough. Keep on it. They deserve to hear from you because you are their boss. Letters to media sources or calling into radio stations. Any way you can get your voice out there is a voice heard that may help somebody else listen and get this stopped before it starts. Make your voice heard. Can I hear everyone in this room? Probably she showed up here to have your voice heard. Can I hear your voices right now? Excellent. Thank you all for allowing me this time, and we got this. The time is stop them now.
The next gentleman on our agenda is Charles Corbett. He's a lifelong resident of Berks County. He is a partner with International Environmental, Health, Safety, and Sustainability Consulting Firm. He is a member of the Berks Urgent Response Network Steering Team, which is a coalition of organizations that are focused on addressing the human aspects of ICE and DHS policy within Berks County. Charles will be addressing some of the financial matters as well as the human impact. So please welcome Charles Corbett.
Just 1 minute. So, hello everyone. It's great to be here today, and I want to just thank IOUB for putting this together. This is a great group of people, and a lot of great information that's really been talked about already. And it's a tough act to follow with the props and a lot of the information here. But I'm going to jump around here a little bit, but I just wanted to just clarify one thing on the taxes here. That's every single year. That's not just $800,000 once and done. That's every single year. So that's going to be a cost that keeps on going, and it's just going to, it's just going to grow over time, and it's going to be money out of the county, out of the people's pockets here. We already talked about the fact of, all the infrastructure issues that are occurring. Those are big deals. Those are, that's a lot of crap we're talking about. It's, all that stuff is just really important. And it's exacerbated by not only what's happening here in Upper Bern with this particular warehouse, but the Tremont facility as well is going to just stress the entire region. It's just going to be a massive amount of disruption in many different ways. So we actually talked about, a lot of the upfront stuff in terms of taxes, infrastructure, but there's just a lot of stuff that ripples down through the system that we haven't even really touched on so far. And that's really just how this impacts people in their everyday lives. There's beyond the municipal costs and the broader economic impacts, disruption to the labor force. If you think about all of the destabilized families that are going to occur by being put into these detention centers, what's that going to be the impact on the county, on the infrastructure, on just the environment and the where we live here. So if you think about you think about how much this community. Right now, Berks County has about 24% Latino population. So that's a big part of our county. That's a big part of what makes up who we are. About 60-some% in Reading, and Schuylkill County has a little bit less. But this all really contributes to our workforce, it contributes to our communities, et cetera. If you look at the total population of the county, it's like 430,000. The labor force is about 218,000. And most of the employers, the big employers, are the Reading Hospital, East Penn Manufacturing, all these different things that are the bedrock of the money that comes into our county. So these, manufacturing, food processing, packaging, warehousing, and logistics, which I know, is not the greatest thing, but it's actually a big employer. These are jobs that the Latino community is a big part of. In fact, there's actually training programs at Berks Tech Centro. There's other organizations that help Latinos get ready for these jobs and to be part of the workforce. So any disruption to that workforce is going to have ripple-on effects to everybody here. In terms of, it's going to create more stresses in terms of unemployment. In terms of filling those jobs, it's going to create more stresses on local industries and just the local businesses, because people are not going to be out and about and spending money. They're going to be destabilized because people are going to be put into these prisons that are actually the breadwinners of the family. So it's going to have just tremendous knock-on effects throughout the county and through the community. So if you look at Schuylkill County, it's actually, and I know we're focused on Upper Bern, but Schuylkill County actually has a lower population of a Latino community, but it's actually concentrated in the same industries that are going to have an impact throughout the entire region here. Give me a second here. So this actually has a bunch of layered impacts when you think about what's happening here. It's an immediate workforce effects, increased absenteeism due to the fear of surveillance at checkpoints. Workers are avoiding key corridors, I-78, Route 61, 81. Families are withdrawing from public life and not participating or relocating out of the area. Employers are struggling to fill shifts, which is going to put a big strain on the economy. And we're seeing this happen across the country. There's many articles in the paper, but there was one that was in yesterday that I read, and this is from the New York Times. And this is talking about California, but it's just an example. Only 0.4% of the farmers in California reported losing workers directly related to farm raids, according to the new survey by California Farm Bureau and Michigan State University. But more than 14% said that the raids and general anxiety surrounding enhanced immigration enforcement caused worker shortages. Among labor-intensive crops like fruit and vegetables, that number was nearly 20% higher in terms of absenteeism and people not coming to work. That has a direct impact on all of us, not only in those families that are actually trying to work and support their livelihoods, but also on the prices that we're paying for groceries and things like that. So all of this is having a very destabilizing impact on the economy and across all of our lives. High turnover, training costs, slower production and fulfillment, logistics, distribution delays, increased resilience on temp agencies, wage inflations in already tight labor markets, and then the community effects are the last layer: reduced consumer spending, strain on schools, churches, community organizations, increased demands for legal services, and so forth. So the bottom line is, this is just not an immigration issue. It's really about workforce and economic stability within our region, with all of our lives, and it's just putting such an incredible strain on this. But if you look at this from a human impact, and this is really something that's important to recognize, asylum backlog has skyrocketed since 2025. Over 2.4 million cases, people are waiting for hearings, for their immigration hearings. Approximately 100 immigration attorneys have been removed from their positions with this administration, which means they're actually intending to deport people just so they can't get through the system, and they're running out of their time limits. And this is an important one. 73% of the people taken into custody have 0 criminal convictions. Only 5% have significant criminal convictions, but 73%. And if you think about that in terms of 7,500 people in Tremont, 1,500 people in Berks County here, that's a lot of people that are in there that don't even have criminal convictions. And why? And it's destabilizing this entire region. So this is really about smart government, accountability. It's about making sure that we're not wasting money. Just want to call out one other thing here. I'm jumping around because some of this stuff was covered already. But when you think about just the fiscal waste here, this is a I mean, just an enormous amount of money, $38.3 billion nationally to expand detention capacity. The big, beautiful bill, yeah, beautiful, poured $170 billion into immigration enforcement, including $45 billion for detention expansion as well. That's including existing facilities. They're continuing to pour this money into retrofitting facilities, and these communities are actually just facing tremendous consequences for that. But the biggest issue is right now there's about 100, and this is not an exact count because they don't give you this information. There's about 100 detention centers within the United States, and many of them are actually sitting empty for years. There's possibly 12 when you look at some of the, just some of the background data. And those are they're losing revenue on these things, and they're not utilizing the facilities. Thank God. They're not, but they're actually paying contractors even if they're not filled. So all of this money is just being filtered out of our pockets into private contractors, into groups that actually run these jails and so forth. So right now, there's 23 warehouses that were in the list that are being negotiated right now, or being sought out to be acquired. 4 were purchased, 2 here in PA, unfortunately. Arizona and Utah, some are under negotiation. But the most important thing is 5 of them were killed due to local opposition in New York, Georgia, Illinois, Kentucky, and New Jersey. And that actually really gives me hope when we heard what Gene said earlier about the DEP and what that's going to put in terms of slowing the process down. That's going to give us the possibility to stop this altogether. So this is just really something that it's impacting us in so many different ways that we're not thinking about. We're thinking about the big dollars here, but your life is going to be impacted. Your property values are going to be impacted in uncertain ways, et cetera. So this is not only about money, but it's also about quality of life, and the quality of life in this region is going to change dramatically. So I just wanted to end it, and I should have did this in the beginning, but when she mentioned Bern, I'm not sure if anyone heard of Bern before. So Bern is actually it's something that was just recently put together, and it really is it's a Berks Urgent Response Network, and it is really this coalition of people that are looking at all these impacts that are having on people. The people that are afraid to go to work, how do they sustain themselves in terms of food? So there's mutual aid that we're looking at education. How are we helping people understand what the impacts of this are? Legal aspects in terms of immigration law, trying to help people get through this crazy system that the time limits are running out. So very important that we're all working together. We've already heard, getting out there, voting, but the biggest thing is just making sure that we are doing this together, that we're standing up, and that we're pushing forward, because there is an opportunity for us to stop this. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You might have guessed, but I'm a Dutchman. And I'm proud of it. Now, not every Dutchman's the same, but I think we can pretty much agree that for a lot of us Dutchmen, we're people who work within our means. We pay our bills, we take care of our neighbors, we try to be good people, and you may disagree with me on this. I don't even mind paying taxes because I realize that I want to be able to drive on roads like Interstate 78, and I want to have a military that, defends us and supports us, and all the other support systems. But what I really don't like is when my tax dollars are spent foolishly. And I think there's an awful lot of that going on here. Now, I referenced some sheets that, I Googled information. I'm just going to give you a tidbit of that right now. The feds paid $206.5 million for the 2 warehouses in Pennsylvania. It's going to cost another $300 million to retrofit them. That comes up to over $506 million. And in terms, they anticipate that it's going to require 1,125 staff to run the facility. Now, at using $65,000 per year, which is actually a low figure. I always want to make things, lower than it would be. That adds another $73 million a year. It doesn't even include food that they're going to have to, take care of these people, and linens and all this and that. I just wonder, what could the $1 billion that this is going to cost have done for us people in Pennsylvania? What good could have come from this? Okay, now I'll get to the part that I'm supposed to say. This next candidate is another one running for office, and not that it really matters, but I was very proud to have gone around and tried to collect signatures for both Tina Burns and Rachel Wallace to get them on the ballots for the next election. So, our next speaker is Rachel Wallace. Born and raised in Pottsville, Rachel's family has lived in Berks and Schuylkill counties for 10 generations. She is running for the U.S. House of Representatives to represent the 9th Congressional District. Rachel has spent her career in public service, serving in roles at the State Department, the U.S. Senate, and in the White House, where she was Chief of Staff for the Office of Budget. I am absolutely delighted to introduce Rachel.
Thank you. How's everyone doing tonight? This afternoon. We're still in the afternoon. Thank you for being here. I called my mom and told her I was coming here, and she said, your grandfather loved Shartlesville because he loved coming to the gun club here. So I'm thinking about my pop and my nan driving up here, and there's some family lore about my grandma that when my mom was a kid, a local nonprofit called my grandma and said, we have a big bake sale tomorrow, we don't have anything to sell, can you make 12 pies? And my grandma said, yes. And she spent the day making 12 pies by scratch, by hand, nothing, no pudding mixes or anything. She made 12 pies, 3 different kinds, and showed up the next day for this bake sale. And to me, that is the Pennsylvania Dutch way. We love sweets, we love bread, and we love to show up for people when they say, I need your help. That's who we are. And so that's what I'm thinking about with you all being here and us all coming together, because we know how to be in community together, whether it's our gun clubs or our volunteer fire companies or just the bake sale. We know how to show up and say, how can I help my neighbor? Those are our values, right? But we live in a time and an area where I think there's a threat to those values. We are increasingly on our phones and disconnected from our community. We live in a time where our people are trying to take our part of the state and industrialize it. We've got, I don't think we were happy with the warehouse distribution centers before they were turning them into mega facilities for detention. Having Amazon come to this part of the state and take over, I don't think that it's made our quality of life here better. And so the question is, are we going to be further divided by this? Or are we going to come together and say, this is not about national politics, this is about our local community and what we want for ourselves and the future here. And I think that we want and deserve better than this kind of facility. Yeah. And as Sue mentioned, I worked in the White House budget office, and I will tell you that the White House would never put 2 of these facilities in a member of Congress's backyard without giving him the heads up. It would not happen. Especially someone who is close to the administration.
This is not a coincidence.
No. I'll tell you, Dan Muser, our congressman, who voted for the $49 billion that is funding this facility and the mega facility in Tremont, he is in Mar-a-Lago this weekend. And I would not begrudge him that if he were in Mar-a-Lago saying, I'm here on behalf of Berks County, and I'm here on behalf of Schuylkill County, and I need you to nix these facilities because it's not gonna work. And I'll tell you that that is what has happened in Mississippi and in New Hampshire. Their Republican leadership stood up and said, we don't want this in our state because this is not good for economic development, this is not good for our local communities. They stood up and said no, and the administration said, okay. So if Dan Muser were there in Florida this weekend making that happen for us, I would say thank you. And I would respect him for that. But that isn't what he's doing. And we deserve better than someone who's not gonna show up, not gonna listen, and not gonna advocate for us. In my family, we have a lot of sayings, and I think lots of families have a saying. You know, sometimes my uncles will say, well, it is what it is. And sometimes it is what it is. And sometimes you gotta stand up and show up. And I wanna say today, this is not a moment where we should say, it is what it is. It is not a moment where we should sit on our hands. And in fact, last week there was reporting, national reporting, that DHS is considering a pause on these detention facilities. So us being here today, us being in community together, us calling our elected officials, us making noise and saying this isn't what we want for our community, it matters, it makes a difference. So your voice matters, keep showing up, keep speaking out. We do not have to sit on our hands. We can say, we want to be in charge of our own local communities, and we want to be in charge of our own local future. And when we come together, when we stand together, when we make it about what's best for here, I know that we're gonna be able, that the people are gonna have the power, and we're gonna make a change here. So thank you again for being here. Keep speaking up.
Okay, it's time for the old lady to take a nap, so I'm gonna go have a seat down with you guys in just a minute. I just wanted to make a couple last remarks. First, thank you for being so receptive and accepting me in this role. And secondly, the person who's gonna take over now is Deborah Miller. And Deborah Miller is the one who put this whole thing together. She thought I was going to give her the microphone right away. No, the only thing I wanted to say is, and I'm sure Deb will repeat this, we're glad to have you here. We'd like to have you involved. We're looking to make new friends. Each of you out there has a different talent. We're not looking for people that we're just going to assign jobs, but if you think you have something that you could do to contribute to our organization and to our efforts, we absolutely will welcome you with open arms. Thank you.
And thank you, Sue Leiby, for being the MC today. She did a great job, didn't she? Okay. Now we invite Jean Stilp, Tina Burns, and Charles Corbett back to the stage for our question and answer panel. All right, everybody, please help me welcome our question and answer panel, Jean Stilp, Tina Burns, and Charles Corbett.
How's the microphone get over here, though? How's the microphone get over here?
That's why we do this.
These guys.
That's okay. It's electronic.
Okay, is everybody happy? Okay, turn to your right and turn to your left and thank that person for being here today, okay? Thank you. Okay. All right. Now check your wallet in case they grab your wallet. Okay, now, pass your questions to the front. Anybody write their questions on those sheets of paper there? Put your questions on those cards there. If you have a question, write on those cards there. and also write down your bank account number and your social security number. I really need those really badly. So, and Richard is going to collect those. You're going to collect those questions. While we're waiting, does anybody have a question they can ask me right? Well, here's a question right here. Okay. There we go. Anybody else? Okay.
So what's next? What are we going to do to make sure they enforce the water and sewer stuff?
That is Linda's going to answer that right there. Here, Linda. Don't pull this too fast because this will come off.
Again, as you know, I do a lot of research. I've been doing this research for months and years. This is not something new for me to research. Information that I mentioned earlier, there were 2 letters, one from DEP, March 5th. It's a public record out there. The other letter was answered by James Inglesby, Assistant Director of Office of Asset and Facilities Management at ICE, March 17th. I did talk to Santori. He has not yet been notified of this letter. It is a public document. It was sent March 17th. Press Secretary of DEP received the letters. At this time, the statement is there's no plans to modify the March 5th administration orders at this time. There were 5 administrative orders addressing the water, the sewer, the connections, the impact on our infrastructure. So at this time, they are not granting the extension that ICE has requested because that is not a choice by DEP. It is mandated. There's a period to appeal that's set by law. And no matter what political party, no what government agency, when something is set by law, everyone should follow the law. So that cannot be changed at DEP. That is something, like we said before, speak up, make the phone calls, write the letters. Most importantly, be informed. I'm just a regular citizen. Yes, I have degrees in technology, and my father, this was our family community, so it's very important to me. But it should be important to everyone. And like I said, as I'm talking to my friends and neighbors that voted for Trump, they have said to me repeatedly, they didn't vote for this. They're not in agreement with this. But they are also afraid to be here. They're afraid to talk to their friends and neighbors because they don't want to be targeted. I already have a target. I've gotten emails. I no longer want to give out my email account. I'm setting up another one because I've gotten a target. My father wore fedoras. I, in honor of him, wear fedoras, and now I'm known as the lady with the hat. But again, those are the letters. So again, to answer your question, right now, contact the officials, let them know that you're in opposition to it.
Thank you, Linda. Very good. We're ordering pizza right now. Who wants pepperoni? Okay. And there'll be bingo in about half an hour.
All right, my apologies because this one, I can't read all the words. So it says, I invite everyone to watch the April BCTV program. The League presents Hot Topics. Rep. Santoni and others will discuss something, land use and zoning issues, detention centers available on YouTube. Search for LWVBC on BCTV, League of Women Voters of Berks County. So not really a question, just a request to watch BCTV in April. Next is a question, and it wants to know, do other state reps in Berks have something they could do about this? And who has more power as to what needs to be done? And lastly, Bartlett, I'm thinking Barton, is he a state rep? So Jamie Barton, yes, he's the current state rep for the 124th. He's the seat I will be taking. So the way things work, yes, they can, all of them work together at a state level. So it's not just the 124th, but that 124th person is everyone's voice. So that one barks it up the tree and to their colleagues and everyone in that respect. So it is up to the representative, hence the name, to represent everybody. And then they work to that, your assigned representative or your elected representative works with all the other representatives. So yes, they do have the power to help as a collective, and that's what happens in Pennsylvania. Now, as far as who has the power, they have power, yes, to make your voices heard, but this is a federal issue crossing state lines, if you will. So in this situation, there are multiple people that can help us. And then it goes on to our Congress people. Muser happens to be the congressperson right now, and he should, as Rachel had mentioned, he should be having our voices heard. He has the ear of the federal government on our behalf in this area. So that person is responsible, or in some cases not very responsible, to get our voices heard at that level. Yes, Sue?
Don't worry about it, Tina. He's going to have plenty of time to be at Mar-a-Lago when Rachel beats him.
There you go. Next question is Charles.
Hello again. So I'm going to read this here. Should Upper Bern have an ordinance requiring approval of any commercial transfer of property to assure a proper use? And I think the challenge there is that the federal government, as we know, has a lot more power in this particular case after they have that property. However, we know it's connected to all these services, so that's where the dividing line and the boundaries really kind of have an impact. So that's something where we actually have an opportunity to kind of tie things up and to really slow walk this. And that's the next question here was, can the top tie ice up in court? And that's absolutely what needs to happen here, is that all these different entry points that we can do to slow things down with the DEP, that can go on for a long time. I mean, there's so many different ways that this can be slow walked, and by the time, this is going to sit here like all the other warehouses, or some of the other warehouses that they bought that actually are not being utilized, are just sitting there and wasting taxpayer money. And then the last question here was, my emails to Fetterman have not been answered. 96 facility bed in Berks was closed down. Will the Upper Bern facility be run by ICE or a private company? And most likely it will be a private company, because these are great sweetheart deals. People are they're just foaming at the mouth for these deals because they're government contracts. Right now, some of these empty warehouses that are not being used, they're actually being paid to run them, and no one's even there. Which, again, that's a good thing, but I'm saying that this is just all wasteful taxpayer money. I mean, it's just moving through the system into people's pockets, and these people are just mercenary mindset, and they're just taking this money. They can care less about the impacts on people. So. Yeah. No, this one, just some of this is a regurgitation, and then it just talks about what has Governor Shapiro done, or Fetterman McCormick. Well, we know what they're doing, but Governor Shapiro actually has been supporting the DEP and actually trying to do what we can from a legal perspective to make sure that this is slow walked. So. And who would pay for the expanding sewer system? And that's a good point. I mean, that's all things that need to be answered, and that's something that, they might say that we'll give you the money to do that, but the bottom line is it's someone's going to pay it, and ultimately it's going to be taxpayer money that's going to do that, wherever it comes from. So.
I think, okay, this will be the last question we're going to take up here. I mean, the last hand in. Does everybody have a little time to here's some more questions? You have time? A little more time? Is that a yes? Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay, if Homeland Security stops the detention center, what happens to the ICE warehouse? I guess it goes back on the market, okay? And then, I think that's what happened, but, there's a lot of ice warehouses, as you said, just sitting out there, ice buildings just sitting out there, unoccupied, which is okay. Okay, where does the money come from? To fight a legal battle, hire a lawyer to send certified letters, such as the example provided to us. And the question is from township taxes, from state taxes? I don't think so. At some point, the township lawyer may be fighting this at some point. Township may be hiring lawyers. Who knows what the end position will be? State taxes, that'll be the DEP will probably be fighting this for a long time. But in regard to a group like this, ICE out of Upper Bern, that's going to take, eventually they'll become to the point where probably will need an attorney for this group to do that. So it will take funding at some point. So those of you who have all those stocks and bonds that still have some value after the market went down, you may need to cash those in and support the group. Okay, but that's down the road. Hold on, I'm gonna look at that one. Okay, all right, look at that one there. Okay, I'm assured that there has to be some kind of handwriting school in this community that people could benefit from. Who is responsible for denying access when ICE disobeys the law in regard to these warehouses? I think we're going to have. I think we're going to see DEP stop any entrance there because until all the permits are achieved, this could be denied for a very long time. Any kind of access at all. In those happy papers I passed out, you looked at the DEP order. They can't even have portable toilets in there. Okay, chemical toilets. They can't have that in there at all either, okay? So that's going to be denied for a very long time. All right, yes, go ahead, young lady.
All right. This one says, does anyone know if there are currently people waiting to be housed here, or will there be a surge in detainees? Well, like everything, that's a secret. I would suspect, no, there aren't, because at the current moment, they round them up and ship them out. However, I would anticipate a surge coming. And the one, it's slight, rumor has it, to base everything on rumor, rumor has it that the Berks County would be the processing center. So they move in and out very quickly, allegedly, and they then go to live in Schuylkill County in their 7,500 bed facility. So I know that doesn't completely answer your question, but that's the best we got right now without any insight from higher ups.
I just wanted to add to that. One of the things that they've, and this is actually research, I think it's done by the Cato Institute, I'd have to look that up, but there is a 6.4% or 6.4 times greater chance if you're living in an area where a detention center is for that capacity to be filled up quicker. So that means, that goes back to the human impact. If we have such a large Latino population, that they are going to really feel that pressure, and that fear, because that's a statistic that's known when you look at the data. If that capacity is here, they're going to want to utilize that capacity, and they're going to do indiscriminate raids. They're going to put a lot of people in these prisons, but that is a fact that there will be a surge. So just wanted to state that. The other question here, what type of legislation can be enacted at the town, county, or state level to thwart ICE from operating these facilities in PA? Again, this goes back to something what Commissioner Santoni said. A lot of these laws right now, for example, at the county level, they don't have the ability to do the zoning at a township level. So there needs to be a well thought out plan that would include all levels of government to kind of figure out the best way to do that. But right now it's disconnected, and right now this is on a lot of it's on Upper Bern Township to kind of take care of this. Obviously, hopefully there'll be a lot of outside help to do that, but Right now, the way government's structured, that's not workable.
Just to say, why here? Why here? Why are they putting it here, all right? First of all, you had Christine Nome, all right? Right now, she's out of there, but still, remember, she's being investigated for a huge amount of money she spent on personal PR, okay, riding horses in the Mount Rushmore, et cetera, all right? So the question is, eventually, when this is investigated, okay, who is benefiting from these high prices that are paid here for the warehouses? Who benefits here, okay? Who's behind the scenes benefiting? That's the question. Also, why here? Why Easy X to Hazelton to looking for people to detain? East of here, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton. South of here, Reading. West of here, Lebanon, Harrisburg. North of here, Hazelton, etc. So that's why I think it came here. But still, who is making the money behind this? I always follow the money, as you know. Okay, it says here, why was the federal government? Why did the federal government do this when there's a closed federal prison in the Scranton area? I have no idea. If you want to say this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's done. Okay, that's done. Okay.
Gene,
Yes.
the answer to that might be a numbers thing. There are lots of closed federal prisons right now, and ICE is looking at reopening several of these facilities and using them. But the reality is they hold 500 people, 1,000 people on the absolute outside. You're not going to get one of those to hold 7,500 people, or even 1,500 people in Upper Bern. So I think that they're looking to do that as well as warehousing. But it's not just one.
Okay, the boss said we only have 5 minutes, so we're going to do our best here, okay? Amazon paid $1.5 million to upgrade sewage there. Why are people? Did they pay $87 million for a warehouse that we don't need? I think we covered that. Okay. Will ICE out of Bern have follow-up meetings in the future to keep information flowing? National ICE out, No Kings March, March 28th is coming up. Down in Harrisburg, with Reading and everything else, okay? Good song. Where else? Pottsville, okay. How many people are going to go to the No Kings March next Saturday? Stand up there, stand up there. Stand up, look at that. All right, there it is. There it is, okay. All right, give yourself a hand, okay? And the people who aren't decided yet, get to the march, okay? Okay. Yes. Okay. She says we have to stop here. He wants to read something, then we'll finish up. I'm sorry, but he can all the questions. 5 minutes, okay. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, this is something that I looked up, and I didn't really get into the detail of it when I talked, but of the 5 warehouse sites that were killed by public opposition, when you look at all the, in Chester County, New York, Circle, Georgia, etc., all of this, it's a combination of us, standing up, and so that is just such an important factor. So every time that we stand up, that's just the common denominator across all of these, in addition to working with the local townships. But it's all about, kind of slow walking things as well. So it's taking every avenue. So I just wanted to say how crucial it is to actually stand up and to be putting all this pressure. And then there's an additional 6 sites right now that are actually on the chopping block, and it's all, again, it's that every single common denominator is just the public outrage and the similar things that you're talking about here. So I just wanted to point that out, that there is an opportunity and there is some hope here.
Okay. If you have signed up the paper in the back, you can be notified of the next meeting, okay, next event, okay. If you have an idea Send it to the committee. If you have an idea what should happen, if you have any information, do that, okay? Don't forget, the primaries are coming up, so get involved with the candidates, okay, so that you can get a better legislature going. And also, I just want to say thank you to the committee for putting it together today, okay? And